Meta has launched a messaging app to compete with Twitter. It is called Threads, and like Twitter, it allows users to post and reply to messages. Meta says 10 million users have already signed up since it was launched last night. The new app comes amid growing frustration with Twitter since its purchase by Elon Musk. So let's continue the conversation about this with Mike Proulx. He's the VP and Research Director at Forrester. That's a global market research firm that provides analysis in business and technology. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, my pleasure, Arthi.
Okay, so let's talk about timing. What was so crucial about the timing here for Meta to launch Threads?
There was a window of opportunity where, yet again, there was increased Twitter chaos. And we're at a point now where we're at peak Twitter user frustration. So Meta launched even earlier than expected last night to try to take advantage of the fact that there are lots of users that are looking for a Twitter alternative.
You know, we talk a lot about monopolies when it comes to, different sorts of corporations and businesses. What about social media? When you've got Meta owning Facebook and Instagram, WhatsApp, should we at all have any concern about Threads now and this sort of being a bit of a social media platform monopoly?
Well, that is for legislation to work out, but what is one of the more concerning from a user perspective is data privacy. We know that Instagram already collects a lot of user data, and one of the biggest gripes right now about Threads is that when you look at their privacy policy and their terms and conditions, they're continuing to collect a lot of data, and that's one of the challenges and struggles on why Threads is not yet launched in the EU.
So in terms of the popularity that we saw, though, 10 million signups in 7 hours is what was tweeted out. I mean, that might be a far cry from 1.35 billion monthly active users on Instagram, but still, it's a high number when you just think about that short span of time. Does that mean that people really don't care that their data is being used and has been reportedly used by Meta in several different ways?
So data privacy and consumer data usage is something that is a topic that works across all social media platforms. You remember just a few months ago, TikTok was very much in the news as it was being investigated by Congress. And so all of this adds up to the fact that ultimately this comes down to user experience and value. Users are willing to give up a certain amount of their privacy in exchange for the value that they're getting. And in this case, what Threads hopes to be able to give is the value of real-time conversation. That is a hole in which many Twitter users feel needs to be filled because they're looking for alternatives to Twitter, and Threads could be an answer to that amidst a sea of lots of competition right now in the Twitter alternative marketplace.
Let's talk about that for a moment, because you're right. There are so many different alternatives that have launched, especially since we've seen, what has been described as chaos with Twitter following Elon Musk taking over. Do you think Threads, because of perhaps even just the familiarity with Meta, has the ability to actually take that spot versus all of the other alternatives that are out there? And I've seen so many people say, hey, follow me on this app instead of Twitter. But wondering if any of those have really taken off.
So the brilliant move that Meta made in this case, and I say that very purposeful, is the onboarding process for Threads. Because it is attached to your Instagram social graph, it creates inherently this virality. And so as a new user gets on Threads, they start following their Instagram followers, which then alerts those followers. It piques curiosity, and it creates this vicious circle where new users are continuing to come on the platform. That's why there's been so much velocity over the past 15 plus hours since the app launched, and why they were able to get 10 million users in such a short amount of time. Now, the challenge is ensuring that momentum stays, and even more importantly, how will Meta keep those users engaged and active and coming back to the app over the course of time?
Now, Mike, I'm just reading here that the new Threads app won't let people leave without deleting their whole Instagram account, and that's part of the rules. That seems like a pretty big catch.
That has been reported. It is interesting, and there are questions as to why that might be happening. Is it because Threads is so technically intertwined with Instagram, or is it a way for Meta to be able to hold on to its registered users without an easy exit strategy? We don't know.
Finally, Mike, I want to ask you, are you going to be downloading Threads? Why or why not?
So I joined Threads as soon as it came out here in the States last night when I got the alert on the iOS store. I checked it out. Anybody who is familiar with Twitter will find Threads equally as familiar in terms of the user interface. There are some differences, but it is at first blush and at initial launch sort of a refreshing take on the chaos that's been happening on the Twitter platform.
Well, thank you for your take on all of this. We appreciate it, Mike.
My pleasure.
Mike Prue is the VP Research Director at analysis firm Forrester. We reached him in Boston. Thank you.